Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma. Today's episode is the key to happy, healthy relationships. Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can have the mindset to get your life and business set.
As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to the podcast, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. If you want to get the inside info for this and every episode, as well as some free gifts, go to illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And now let's dive in to get your mindset for your life and business set.
Well, hello there, Nick.
Hello, Kisma.
What's going on right across the desk in this little recording studio you got happening here? With boards and mics and all sorts of things.
There's a new mixing board. Are you overwhelmed by it?
It's slightly large. I'm glad I'm sitting on the other side of the table.
I set that up purposely. Yeah. I didn't want you to have to look at that
it's
or maybe
scary.
reaching
There's
over.
Lots of dials, everyone. Lots of dials and lights and cords, and it's a monster.
I got it, but I got it for the sound healing.
Right.
Because I want to be able to, when I live cast those out, I want to be able to have more inputs for it. Like a lot of people, when they record sound healing, it's just like a room mic, which is cool because that's typically how people experience that. But one of the reasons that I, with the sound quality of it is to really have a mic that's present to the bowl.
Yeah.
It's almost like putting your ear right in there.
And you get those vibrational binaural beats coming through.
Yeah, it gives a very different experience, So in order to do that, when you have a lot of bowls, you need a lot of mics.
Yeah.
So having the flexibility with that and also some other really cool things. The idea was not to buy a board for what I need. It's to buy one for what I will probably need as it continues to grow. Something that I can really grow into.
Well, talk about growing. Got a new bowl in the house. That thing is like bigger than a cauldron, all the way from Nepal. It's huge. It is beautiful. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about it as a cauldron, but
is there a photo of it on your sound healing page?
There is, yeah.
How do they find that?
You can go to mysticsoundhealing.net.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mysticsoundhealing.net. You got to see this thing, everyone. This, beautifully hand-hammered, carved, humongous bowl.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
It does. I stand in it. I just stand there like.
She comes up here during the day, everybody, and she'll just float into my office, and I'll be hanging out here working on something. She's just
float's the right word.
Hit this thing. No, you do sometimes. Yeah. You just kind of float in, and you're like, and then I hit the bowl, and you're better.
I'm better. Bowls make me better. Go check out the sound healing, mysticsoundhealing.net. Well, here we are recording, and we're going to be talking about happy, healthy relationships.
Yeah.
I have something I need to speak to you about before we launch into our key for happy, healthy relationships.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm ready. Do I need to sit down?
Well, you are sitting down. So I'm not sure I can handle. Nick brought home he's cooking. So we're recording this the day before Thanksgiving, and traditionally he creates a really beautiful vegan Thanksgiving. And it's just the two of us because then we're hitting the road the next day on a road trip. But he also brought home a cannoli. And I looked at it, I was like, well, my mind immediately went to, well, I will share a little bit and I'm eating that tonight. And then he announced it was for tomorrow.
Well, it's because we didn't have any dessert for tomorrow. And I'm okay with that, but I wanted you to have a nice little something, but we can eat it tonight.
There's a cannoli in the refrigerator. I don't know that I can wait.
I mean, you do you.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll let you know in the next episode, everyone, if I waited or if we had it for Thanksgiving. I would buy you a pie. I'm not going to bake a pie. I'm like right now.
Fair. Yeah.
But I have made pies.
I'm sure you have. I'll bet you're good at it.
They're good. Yeah.
But, yeah. Well, speaking of the holiday season, I mean, that's one of the reasons that we wanted to talk about this. The again, day before Thanksgiving here. So you may not get this episode until after Thanksgiving, but that's okay.
They will not get this episode till after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, there's no might about it.
Yeah, we can be sure, but happy belated Thanksgiving.
Well, happy belated Thanksgiving, and heading into the holiday season. This is a really relevant topic, is happy, healthy relationships. That doesn't just mean your intimate relationships. It means your family relationships. It means your work relationships. It means all kinds of things. But specifically is a question that we always get around cord cutting. So we talk about cord cutting. We mention it all the time on the podcast because it is so important, and it really is just a survival skill for anybody, right? Just to stay more you and be more you. Well, the question that we always get though is either around kids or partners, and are you supposed to cut the cords to these people and
people that you love,
people that are close to you? Are you supposed to do that? And are you sure? Are you sure I'm supposed to do that?
That's cute.
Yeah, it is kind of funny. It's a really fascinating thing, but it's important. And the reason I thought about it, because I was thinking about this, why this question comes up so often, and it's a very reasonable question, right? It's definitely not a dumb question in even a little bit. It's a very important question, but it brings up some very interesting things around what we've been taught and how we have relationships in our lives, particularly close relationships, loving relationships.
Oh, we've been taught so much.
So many funny things, right?
Funny things.
First and foremost, I'd say, think about what we've learned about relationships and what's fed to us about relationships, like your typical love song and
attachment,
those Hollywood moments, you complete me, right? That was so beautiful. And that was a tearjerker part of the movie. Like,
what movie was that?
Oh man. What was Jerry Maguire was the name of the movie. Yeah. Tom Cruise and Renee Zellweger.
Oh, right. They completed each other.
Yeah. You complete me. And there were so many beautiful things about it. It made a really beautiful moment for the dramatization of the whole thing. And that is ridiculously unhealthy. Like, it's so unhealthy.
Yeah.
So those sorts of things are little by little, like that informs our ideas about what we want in a relationship and how we do relationships in general.
Right.
So think about it now. Now that question starts to sound even more reasonable, because it's like, okay, well, if that's what I'm going for, or that's how I feel when I'm with this person, or what this person means to me in my life, like, you complete me, I'm lost without you and all that kind of stuff. Like, are you really going to want to cut the cords to that? No, probably not.
Probably not. I mean, that is a whole messy thing right there. Number one, you're not complete without that other person. Number two, your happiness and completeness is now reliant on this other person. Number three, one of you could go at any moment, and then the other one it just goes on and on.
Yeah.
Messy.
On and on and on.
And then people start watching these movies. They start looking for, I need the soulmate to complete me. So they're going through part of their lives not completed. So they think, anyways, go on with the cord cutting. Sorry.
No, that's exactly why I wanted to talk about this, actually, is because of thinking. It's like to talk through like the different ways that this plays out in our lives. Right. So that very thing. All right. Let's consider why you wouldn't want to. Right? Why
would you not
really
want to cut cords?
Why do you not want to cut
to someone you love
and release that person? Right? There's the fear of loss, for one. Like, if you have that feeling, like, this is my soulmate, and or the twin souls, or what are they, the twin flames, or whatever they call it. All these kinds of, like, these are these really deep, like, karmic connections and everything like that. To release that, just to release it in a very simple way, is scary.
It is.
What does that mean even? But I also think there's kind of a lingering question there. Well, what if I do that and they don't come back, or they change? It starts to really get into the areas where the attachments are formed and the codependency of those attachments is formed.
And what the subconscious does to kind of make you want to keep their stuff or your stuff on them, not two healthy pillars.
Yeah, two healthy pillars. Yeah, we'll talk about. We're getting there. Like that's a really important piece. But I was actually wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that with the subconscious, like the ways that you've seen that play out. Either
I mean, the subconscious mind is here to keep us safe, and safe usually equals familiar, and that includes familiarity in relationships, even if the relationship is toxic or filled with drama or complacent. It's like you start to go for a higher level or vibe of relationship, or you go to cut cords so that you only keep your stuff and you give the other person their stuff back. And the subconscious mind gets very nervous. They're like, wait a minute, we don't do that. That's a little bit scary. Or to the ego. I mean, what does the ego go through when all of a sudden, you're going to cut cords to the person you love? You're like separating yourself, or they might not need you. These things just fly through the subconscious mind as fear disruptors.
Yeah, yeah. And that brings up the self-sabotage aspect of it. Like creating drama in relationships is definitely a really popular way to sabotage success and forward movement, right? So we're patterned into that, and we're taught in a lot of different ways. This is how relationships are,
right?
And this is what they ought to be. So we aspire to that. We want to keep that. If we have it, we want to maintain it. And then when we start to step outside of that, or we need a really good distraction, drama,
right?
Some kind of something, right? And that's that push and pull, and that's a sure sign that they're, you think about chords, energetic chords or etheric chords. You just kind of think about that as an open line, an open channel of communication where information is being passed back and forth. That could sound like a conversation that's just replaying in your head, or it could be the sort of thing where you can just tell. They wake up in a mood and you can just tell.
And you just know your energies are entangled more than they need to be. I mean, I think it's fair to say if you're living with someone, you're going to entrain to their energies. You're going to know, you're going to sense them. But it's like how much. I think it's the difference between sensing, because it's fair and it's intuitive, and being affected by.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's really well put.
So cutting cords, what does that mean, Nick? Just give like the 101 when you cut cords to your partner or someone you love.
There's a whole video I have in a course. It's an awesome little mini course that I taught on 3 energy techniques, card cutting being one of the primary ones. It's called the golden trifecta. And it's basically, it's just a very simple technique where you use your hands to release, and cut the cords. We've taught this, many times in different places. If you're new to the show, go to nickhansinger.com/unlimited energy, and you'll see the program there. It's awesome. Like, it's basic tools that will totally save your life and make your life better. So, but it's releasing that. So, and you brought up another, I thought, a really interesting one with the ego.
The ego, man.
Right. And the idea that if I let this person go, right, like how much of me is wrapped up in that person.
But let's be clear, you're not letting the person go. You're cutting the cords to the person.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But the subconscious or the ego has a fear that you're letting them go.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. Yeah,
it's not like you're saying cut the cords every when your person's going to leave you. No, you're standing more
opposite.
in your individuality. They are in their individuality, and that's a more powerful presence. But the ego is like, wait a minute. I'm not tethered. I don't have a hold. I can't manipulate. All those things come up.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the manipulation one. Yeah, that's right. Because, I mean, it's really like you want that no matter who you are, right? Everybody has this, and everybody in a relationship has some aspect of codependency. You might not know where your line is, right? Where your line of attachment is. I'm pretty sure that I'm more attached than you are.
I would say that's probably true.
That's probably.
But who knows?
If something happened to one of us, I think I I would be less okay than you would.
I mean, it's easy for me to say that now, but who knows? And
yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth is you don't know until you know, like where that line is. But every relationship has some aspect of that. It's a totally normal human thing. What we're trying to do here is just minimize it and minimize the impact in your life so that you can go on and be you, they can go on and be them, right? I think that to me is a really, really important aspect of this whole thing. It's just kind of minimizing the fallout and not getting caught up in those patterns so that you can continue to create something awesome with your relationship and your life.
I get a lot of questions from clients or students who are doing the prosperity work, excuse me, universal laws, and their partner isn't. And it can be disruptive when you're really in a prosperous consciousness and the person you're living with is in a very strong lack consciousness. And obviously I coach them in ways to have conversations, but also you do your work and do your, and that person in your life is going to have to either just manage that you're doing your work or rise up, or there might be another alternative. What can cutting cords do for this, I should say? Because I imagine if, say, partner A is really in a prosperous mindset and they're getting agitated by partner B who isn't, if they cut the cords, they're actually bringing their energy in more powerfully. They can focus on what they want to create and less affected by the scarcity.
Yeah. Well, you covered a lot of the bases there, but I want to kind of reiterate a few of them. Number one is this is about you being you and you being awesome in you being you. Your energy, your decisions, like you choosing for you. So when you choose to cut the cords, then you mentally, you're wearing a new groove for yourself to decide to get back to you without having to go through a whole bunch of mental gymnastics to make yourself right about doing that, right? Rather and make them wrong for being for being who they're being. You just actually get to just release the energy, release that connection, which is the unhealthy part of the connection, right?
Yes.
You release that part of it so that you can be more you. So mentally, you get to make that decision and remake that decision again and again, which is incredibly powerful. And energetically, you release all the excess energy that's being fed through that to them, right? And then feeding back through you. Like if you are both angry with each other and having an argument in your head with each other, it's just like, it doesn't matter if you're arguing out loud, you're exchanging this energy. And when you release that, you can get back to being you.
Yeah.
And just deal with what's going on inside of you rather than making it all about the other person, which we so often do.
I think that's the freedom point, right? Everyone is like, you're focused on you. There is not this extra worry of what someone else is thinking about you or saying. And none of that. It's just like, it's out of the sphere and you're doing you. And then it allows you to honor the other person and their uniqueness as well.
Yeah. And getting back to that about the people who, just maybe aren't on board with this, or they're doing it in their own way, right?
Or they're not doing it.
Or they're not doing it. They're not on board. They're not, none of it, like all of it has its own kind of unique spin to it. But at the end of the day, what's really going on is inside of ourselves. We're wanting them to be different.
Right.
And cord cutting is so powerful because it leaves the space for them to step in. Right?
Without the pressure of our energy and thoughts, like wishing them to be different.
That's right. And that pull, that kind of unconscious pull of, I should be doing this different. Like that person wants me to be doing this different. I should be doing something different.
So if we were to dial it into the key for happy, healthy relationships, the title of this is really to stay in our lane and do our work and not want the other person to be different, allowing them to do them in their most beautiful way. That creates a really strong power and presence in the relationship that then down the road, if there is it, because I mean, let's face it, there are some people that are in the relationship, if somebody's doing something that is unhealthy or it needs to be talked about, there might be a point where your partner is doing something you're like, I'm not okay with it. You can't live with it. But at least getting there into that conversation to either have a really clean conversation about what could be different, will be so much easier when you're in your own lane doing your own work.
Yeah. Infinitely easier. The door is open then for the conversation to happen and for that person to step into a different way and to come along.
Right.
And the door is also open for you to decide, this is what I need in my life to support me, and there's certain places, and everybody's got their own different lines around that, but there's certain things that they're lines that people don't want crossed.
Right.
Like if I was out, doing drugs every night or something like that, like I don't think we'd still be in a relationship. It's not really okay. Fortunately, I don't want that for myself. Right. So when you get back to it, it leaves that door open because each person is just being more in themselves, and you're doing that. You're doing it for you, really. Like, make no mistake, don't get all altruistic. I'm going to do this for them. No, you do that for you.
Yeah.
Like that. That's why you do it. And it's important to know that you can never cut love. Right?
I think people need to hear that.
You can never cut love.
Yeah.
So why can't you cut love? Because love is the truth of our experience, right? Love is the truth of God or the universe or whatever. That energy is an all-pervasive thing. It's not what we think it is. We have a huge misunderstanding about what love is. And all you have to do is go back and listen to your favorite love songs to see how distorted that actually is. That is not love. That's attachment and it's codependency and all kinds of other things. Those are the things that you're cutting when you cut the cords. Yes, it might feel a little bit uncomfortable for the subconscious part of yourself and the patterns that you're used to. Absolutely. But it opens the door for more freedom. And that's what we're really after here, right?
Yeah.
So you can't cut that. You could never cut that.
I think more acceptance too.
Yeah.
Because you'll be accepting, when we cut the cords, we have clean energy, we accept ourselves at a higher level. So we're going to do the same thing for our partner.
That's right. Yeah, you do the same. That's exactly right.
That's right. You get to,
well, that's all I was going to say is you get to love in a brand new way. And you get to explore love in a much more healthy
way. More joyful. Way less stressful. Way less stressful, people.
That's a really good point. If your love is stressing you out, that's probably not love.
Attachment, AKA attachment. Can you give some direction on cord cutting to your partner? I know you mentioned the videos and the training, but let's just, so that we leave everybody with like, here's what you do and here's how often we suggest you do it.
Anytime really, you can cut the cords. I really highly recommend to go get the video, right? Just so that you can see it, so that you can really tell them where they can get it again. NickHansinger.com/unlimited energy.
Okay.
And you'll see the whole thing there.
Is it free?
It is not.
Okay.
No, but it's a low price. It's really reasonable for what the program is. It's extremely reasonable and super powerful. It's a technique that you want to use all the time, right? If you just imagine like you have a sword or your hand as a sword and you just swipe it down in front of you, you cut the cords. It's as simple as that. And you do that often. Like anytime that you have an interaction with people, anytime that you have an interaction with your partner, the question that you want to ask yourself is, well, how good do I want to feel? How free do I want to be to just be myself?
Okay. But I have this image of people running around their house, like every 5 minutes, cutting the cords. That can be a little bit much. Could we dial it back to say, I'm sorry, I'm just seeing everyone like waving their hands. And their partners are going to be like, what's
going on? I mean, maybe be discreet about it,
But could we start with, look, morning, noon, night?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I hear hesitation.
I just
in your
go
voice.
all in on it.
I know, but I'm with you, but it might stir up a little something like, what are you waving?
If your partner is not into the weird woo stuff, probably not do that right in front of them because it might freak them out or confuse. More than anything, it'll probably confuse them. And they're like, what are you doing? And then you'll try to explain it. I'm cutting the cords. And they're like, why are you doing that? Don't you love me anymore? It's like a whole thing. It's like, just be discreet about it. The video actually gives some tips on that as well, on how to be discreet. But like morning, noon, night is a great start.
Start with morning, noon, night. Add in coffee time, add in when you go but I think you're true when you're correct, Nick, whenever there's a conversation, especially about something where you're planning, you're scheduling whatever, the kids cut the cords.
There's always an energy exchange happening. There's always that happening. And so when you cut to release, it gives your mind and your energy a chance to just, recover to you. And that's really important. And I think, just to wrap this up here, the thing that this really speaks to me is what do you stand for with your relationship? Like, what kind of relationship do you really want for yourself? And a lot of people don't know anything different than just joined at the hip, energetically speaking, kind of joined at the hip, and we're, this is it. And, whatever way you go, I go. And that's fine. Like, if that's what you really want for your relationship, that's awesome. Just recognize that when that person's in trouble, you're going to be in trouble too.
Right.
And usually what happens in that dynamic is a passing of the baton. So the two of you don't often feel 100% together. Somebody's always on one side or the other. That's kind of a good indicator that, something to work on here.
Yeah.
But what I think is something beyond that is, and what I think is beautiful, like this is something that is really important to me in our relationship too, is empowering that person and releasing them, truly setting them free to be who they want to be, to do what they want to do, to have what they want to have, and supporting them in that. And that's a scary place, because they might make choices that you wouldn't, and choices that make you uncomfortable. But man, for whatever it's worth, from me, I feel like that's the most beautiful relationship you can have. I feel like that just speaks to the essence of our human experience and our human journey, is just freeing each and every person to be who they are.
Isn't it true? It really is respect and love.
It is. Yeah, it's that foundation of respect. Like, I totally respect your choices for what you want in your life and how you want to do your life, and the trust.
Yeah.
It takes a deep amount of trust to be able to let go and allow that person to go their own way, and to trust that they care about you, to trust that you can still have a wonderful relationship together, or maybe even better than you imagined, and to trust that everything's going to be okay beyond that, beyond the unseen, limit of the changes and things like that. It's just, I think it's such a beautiful thing. It can be a little scary, but man, is it so worth it to have that kind of freedom in your relationship.
Happy and healthy, everyone. So give it a go, cut those cords, allow your person to be who they're going to be. And look, if you're not in a relationship, you have friends, right? You have colleagues. And if you're not in a relationship and you want a relationship, cutting cords and using this practice will actually prepare you to attract someone who really honors that freedom point and individuality and a healthy relationship.
Yeah. Really good point. So that's it.
All right. Well, there you go, everyone. The key to happy, healthy relationships. Email us. Let us know what you think.
hello@illuminationpodcast.com.
We'd love to hear from you, because this was born out of a question from a lot of our listeners. We heard this question many times. So
many times.
Yeah. Ask up. Let us know how we can help. And we will see you next time.
Namaste.
Peace. Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. And if you enjoy Illumination Podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone you love. Give us a rating, review, download our podcast. And remember, you can find us at illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. Talk to you soon. Namaste.